welcome back to the Garden of Reading, everybody. Today I'm going to be giving you guys my honest review of all of my spring reads, you guys. This is my first ever reading wrap-up that I'm doing here on my channel, so I'm really excited for it. If you missed my Spring TBR video, I will leave a link down below. Definitely check it out. By no means were any of the books that I chose like spring related. You can read any of the books year round. I am a mood reader, so I do tend to pick out books that are going to fit my mood. But yeah, today I'm going to show you guys all of the books that I was able to get through for my spring reads, you guys. Now, I feel like this video is going up a lot later than I intended to. So I filmed my Spring TBR, I believe, in May, and I decided to do my Spring TBR for May and June, and give myself 2 months worth. So I'm gonna do like seasonal TBR and reading wrap-up videos, because if you guys are new here, I am a stay-at-home mom of 3 children. I work from home, I homeschool my kids, and then I do YouTube in my spare time as a hobby. So I just decided that doing 2 months worth and just doing it seasonally is what's gonna work best for me. And so I'm going to be starting my summer TBR video very soon. I'm filming that video this week. This is the last week of June when I'm filming this, so I'm going to try my best to hurry up and edit and get this uploaded so it can go out to you guys, so that way I can film and edit and upload my summer TBR. So my summer TBR video is going to be for July and August, which works out perfectly for us because our last day of homeschool was June 20th. I don't start homeschool again until like the middle of September. So I feel like the way I'm filming them in the months that I'm doing them works out perfectly for my schedule. YouTube has been taking forever to upload a video that I'm currently uploading. That is my Owlcrate May unboxing. It's like at 50%, and it's been like that for like a few days now. So that kind of sucks. There are times where it'll go up like that. There's times where it'll take like a week to upload. So I'm hoping that that will upload quickly. And I'm hoping that when I edit this video and I upload it, that it will upload quickly, you guys. I am praying and hoping that it does, because I want this video to go out to you guys as soon as possible, because I know everybody is in like these summer vibes right now, which I'm definitely in the summer vibes too. Anywho, grab your cup of coffee, get cozy, and buckle up for some honest reviews, you guys. I'm really excited. I read some really good reads this spring, you guys, so I'm really excited to share all of the reads that I read this spring season. Now, I'm not going to give you guys any type of spoilers, so if you're worried about being spoiled about any of these books, I'm not going to spoil anything for you guys, because I know for myself, if it's a book that I intend to read, I don't like to be spoiled about all of the important bits in a book. But if it is a book that I don't care about or I don't intend on reading, then I don't care if I'm spoiled. But because I don't know what books you guys are interested in and what books you aren't interested in, I'm not going to give you guys any spoilers, but I will give you just like the basic, you know, basic info, basic review, basic summary of what the books are about, and bits and pieces from the books that maybe I liked or didn't like, that aren't significant enough to be considered a spoiling factor. So I gotta take a sip of my coffee because I am going to be rambling on for the next 20 minutes or so. Today I am drinking my Dunkin's coffee, the original blend, and then I am drinking the Coffee Mate Vanilla Caramel Duo Creamer. I also have my collagen peptides in here, and I also squirted a little bit of caramel sauce at the bottom of my cup. Yummy. So if you guys remember, I picked out 10 books for my spring TBR. Now, I did not intend to get through all of those books. I just gave myself a bunch of options because I am a mood reader, so I pretty much picked out 2 of each genre that I was feeling like. So like 2 fantasy, 2 romance, 2 murder mystery. Like that's kind of like how I went about it, 2 middle grades. And so I got through 6 out of 10. So I'm very happy with that number. I mentioned this before, I average about 3 books a month, so I pretty much stayed exactly where I average out when it comes to reading. which I am totally fine with that because I am in no rush to get through all of the books on my shelf. So yeah, I got through 6 of the 10, and I'm going to share with you guys all of the fun reads that I picked out. Okay, so I think I'm going to start with my middle grade books that I chose for spring, and we're going to go ahead and start with this one, and this is The Witches of Brooklyn. Look at this cover. It is so pretty. I love it so much. So this is by Sophie Escabase, and this is a graphic novel. I love graphic novels because they are just super simple and easy to read, especially if you're in a reading slump. I feel like graphic novels are really going to get you through reading and get you reading, picking up a book and reading. And so this is a series. This is a 4-book series. This is the 3rd book in the series. And this book was so good. I absolutely loved this series so much. I even told my oldest son that is 9 years old that he should pick it up because I feel like he would really, really love this. If you love graphic novels, if you love middle grade reads, then I think that you would really love this book. We explore our main character, Effie, and she has to go and live with her aunts, and her aunts are just like really, really weird. And she ends up finding out that her aunts are witches, and she's also a witch. So this is like a coming of age witch story, which I love anything witches. I love that so, so much. So the fact that she's like a coming of age witch, she doesn't really know much about being a witch. So she's having to learn all about, you know, being a witch and magic. It also explores friendships and, you know, how to be a good friend and how to be there for your friends and how to, you know, work as a team and things like that. This is the 3rd book in the series. So I'm not going to give any spoilers, but as far as like kind of like telling the story and the timeline, because I'm not reviewing the 1st and the 2nd book in the series, if you feel like this might still be a spoiler factor for you, just go ahead and skip on through this part to the next book. But so Effie ends up going to a summer camp for witches in this book, which she is not happy about. She doesn't want to go. She wants to just like hang out with her friends and, you know, just relax all summer. So she was really, really bummed about that. And so this camp, she is going to learn if she has a green thumb. And a green thumb in this witch world is the same as it is here, basically, if you have a knack for gardening and planting and whatnot. So one of her aunts has a green thumb and works very, very well with herbs and planting and medicinal herbs and healing people. And so Effie is here to see if she has a green thumb as well. And so throughout this, I really like this because I feel like this is a really good book for children because it really teaches like real life lessons when it comes to being a child yourself and being in a school setting where there are other children, where you're going to be around kids who are maybe not so nice. Effie experiences some bullying in here, and so she has to deal with that. She makes some pretty bad decisions on how to handle this bully, which lands her in trouble. But at the end of the book, she overcomes all of that and realizes how to actually deal with bullies and to not let what bullies say get to you. So I really feel like this really speaks to children and can kind of give them like a learning curve when it comes to, you know, learning about friendships and family and dealing with, you know, negative people. This book also, you know, like I said, goes over like teamwork and friendships and just working together, and I think that is a really important part of life that kids need to learn. So I would really love my son to pick up this series because I feel like he could also learn something out of it, as well as just having a really fun read with it. My favorite part of this book is how Effie just like starts to come in tune with herself. She starts to realize who she really is, learns how to properly use her magic, and I just feel like a lot of kids can take away a lot from this book. I just thought this was a really fun middle grade book. You know, everyone in this camp, they're all witches. They all have different powers and different things that they can do. We have all kinds of different types of personalities in this book, which I love to see. And all around, this was a 5 out of 5. Other 2 books in the series that I've read were also a 5 out of 5. So yeah, I really, really like this book. I definitely recommend to kids, even yourself, if you are into middle grade books or graphic novels, this was just a really fun and simple, easy read to get through. So I really, really like it, and I cannot wait to read the 4th and final book in the series. Okay, next up is The School for Whatnots by Margaret Peterson Haddix. This book came in a Owlcrate Jr unboxing that I did here on my channel. If you missed out on that video, I will also link that video down below. Come and hang out with me and my oldest son Benjamin as we unbox a couple of the Owlcrate Jr boxes. Had a sale on all of their Owlcrate Jr boxes. They were all $5 each, which was a complete steal. But this was a read aloud that me and Benjamin actually did over the spring, and so this was really, really fun. Actually, the day that I am filming, so as I am sitting down filming this video, we actually finished up this book today, just in time, thank goodness. But me and my oldest son Benjamin took turns reading this book, and it was so good, so good. So this book follows 2 main characters, Josie and Max. They are in elementary school and just become the best of friends from kindergarten and so on. And then Josie goes missing. Josie disappears, and Josie leaves a note for Max saying, no matter what anybody says, I'm real. And that kind of starts this whole adventure for this book, you guys. Max is just on this quest to figure out where Josie went, where she disappeared to, and why she would leave a note saying why she's real. Now, me and Benjamin made some assumptions as to what that could have meant. And some of the assumptions we made were maybe she was a robot, maybe she was an alien, maybe somebody took her. And I'm just going to say that one of the assumptions that Benjamin made, he was correct. And so as we were reading through the book, we were like, oh my gosh, Benjamin, you were right. You were right. It was so crazy. We had a good laugh about that. This was such a fun read. Like, I absolutely love doing read alouds with my kid because it allows us not only to bond over reading and as mother and son, but it's kind of like our own little book club in a way, because we'll pause and we'll talk about stuff, or we're like, wait, hold on, like, what if, or what if this happens? Like, it's just really, really fun. It's like our little own book club in a way, and we both have so much fun with it, especially like taking turns reading and everything, and it is so much fun. I highly recommend, if you have kids in the house who are old enough to read, to do read alouds together. It is one of the most fun experiences that you're going to experience as a mother and child. But anywho, this book is just so good. I feel like this book also teaches kids a lot about true friendship, how to be a true friend, how to work as a team, how to also be an individual and overcome fear, overcome self-doubt, those types of things. So I really feel like this book is just really great for kids. I feel like it can teach a lot of lessons as well. So I don't want to say too much because I feel like anything else that I say is going to be a spoiler for this book, especially because you, as my viewers, if you haven't read this book, you don't know what's going on with Josie, and I can't really say without giving the whole book away. So I'm going to leave that up to you guys to read this book and to find out. But this kind of like also goes over like poor and rich, and I love that. And in this book, it really proves that it doesn't matter how rich you are, it doesn't matter how poor you are, that the same things can happen to every human on earth, no matter how poor or rich you are. And I love that it includes that in here, because I feel like we're in a day and age where there's so much bullying when it comes to being poor. And I grew up in a high school setting. I have seen and experienced so many people bullying other kids because they wore the same thing every day, or because the way they smelled or the way they looked, or because they didn't have all of the newest gadgets or whatever. And it is so sad. It is so sad. So I really love that this book includes that aspect, so kids can really get a grasp as to the damage that you can put on a person by bullying them because of how poor they are. And I really like that this book just kind of like goes to show that no matter how different people are, no matter how rich or poor they are, that they can come together and they can be the best of friends. I feel like this is a really wholesome book. It's going to teach a lot of lessons and morals, and I just love it. And I feel like I can't say much more about this book except for the fact that these two best friends are in elementary school. One of them has just disappeared from his life altogether, and Max is on a mission to find his best friend again and figure out where Josie went. And I can't say much more than that, because if I do, then it gives the entire story away, and I don't want to do that for you guys. This is a really, really good book. Now, I'm an adult, but I love middle grade books. They hold a special place in my heart, and to be honest, children's books in general, whether it be board books, children's books, teen books, middle grade, elementary books, I love children's books. They're so nostalgic to me. They bring such a nostalgic feeling when I'm reading them, and they just transport me to a whole different universe than YA an adult does. So I highly recommend this book. My son thoroughly enjoyed it. Like I said, we had a lot of like book club discussion questions going on, and it was so much fun. I gave this a 4 out of 5. It was a really good book. I wouldn't say it was like, oh my goodness, that book was so good that I might just have to read it again. So I gave it a 4 out of 5. Benjamin gave it a 4.9 out of 5. So we both really thoroughly enjoyed this book. And I feel like if you love middle grade, then you're gonna love this book as well. So those take care of my middle grade books that I read this spring season. Love, love, love. Moving on to some like horror, thriller, murder mystery books that I read this month. When I picked this book up for the first time, it just really called out to me, and it just sounded so good. And this is Sign Here by Claudia Lux. This is a book of the month book. So this book is about a guy who lives in hell, literally, and he is on a mission to collect the last soul from the Harrison family. When I read that, I was intrigued. I wanted to know more. So I will say, with this book, I had mixed feelings about reading about a book that talks about hell. I don't know, I just felt like really weird reading it. It ended up being a pretty good read. Ugh, this freaking fly is buzzing around. So annoying. So annoying. So this book can be categorized as quite a few things: horror, fantasy, fiction, thriller, maybe even. It does have a murder in the book. I wouldn't say it's like horror in a way. I mean, it does have like a couple things where it'll talk about like, you know, what they do to the people in hell, like, you know, slicing their guts out or whatever, but it doesn't really talk too much about like horror specific stuff, because I'm not a horror book girly. I do not like to read about just like gory stuff. That's just not me. It does have like a couple, you know, like sentences worth in here about like gory things, but not too much to where I was like, okay, close it up, I'm done with it. This was a pretty good read. I gave this book a 3 out of 5 because it wasn't like a, wow, that book was so good. It didn't leave me stunned at the end of it. It was a really good book. It was relatively a quick read. I did get through the book relatively very fast. In the beginning, I feel like it was kind of a little bit hard to understand the rules of hell. So we kind of follow a few different people throughout the book. In hell, we are following the main character Peyote, and then like a couple of his colleagues down in hell, and then we're also following the Harrison family up on Earth. So it kind of switches back and forth throughout the book. So I did like that. Now, and like I said, in the beginning, it was a little bit hard to understand like the rules of hell and where this book was actually going. And so it kind of was like a slow read in the beginning, and I felt like it didn't really pick up until halfway through the book is when I really started getting more intrigued and really flipping through the book a lot faster. I really enjoyed more of following the Harrison family on Earth more than I did the characters down in hell. Like, to be honest, when I would come to the chapter that was all about the characters down in hell, I would be like, oh, like I really don't want to read this, or I'd put the book down. and come back to it at a later time. But when I was reading chapters that was about the family on Earth, I was reading through those very, very fast. So I found myself not really caring about the characters down in Hell, although they play a very important role in this book, and you couldn't have had this book without them. I still didn't really care for it as much. I really, really did love all of the secrets of the Harrison family. So the Harrison family, we have a mom, a dad, a brother, and a sister, and there's lots of secrets going on between everyone in the family. Everyone has a secret, and slowly but surely throughout the entire book, we unravel all of those secrets and how those secrets have impacted their lives, how those secrets tie in to the characters that are down in Hell. And overall, it was a pretty good read. I wasn't disappointed in it. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. When I seen this, I was so intrigued. I was so interested. This book just kept calling to me and calling to me. So it wasn't really what I thought it was going to be about, but it was still overall a pretty good read. I gave this book a 3 out of 5. It wasn't horrible, but it also wasn't amazing either. So now, would I recommend this book? Yes and no. I feel like I'm conflicted. I'm kind of in the middle. I don't know. It wouldn't be my first choice to recommend to anybody, but I also wouldn't say that I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. I would say that it kind of made me think more deeply about my life and how us as humans take our life for granted a lot, especially the air that we breathe each and every day. Like this book, I don't take my life for granted. I do cherish my life, and I cherish every single moment that happens. But, sometimes life gets the best of us, and we tend to not really realize how fortunate we are in our lives, in every aspect of our life. And so I felt like this book really helped me to deepen my thoughts and just really honing in on cherishing every single moment throughout my life and not taking anything for granted. So I really, really liked that this book surprised me in that way. So I would say that was my favorite part of this book. And if anything, that was something that you could take away from this book. Being able to appreciate more out of life, whether it's the people in your life, the things that you have in your life, where you're at in your life right now. That is what I would say that I would take away from this book. So all in all, a pretty good book. 3 out of 5, not too bad, but not the best book that I've ever read either. So, all right, you guys, the next murder mystery thriller book that I picked out is You'll Be the Death of Me by Karen M. McManus. If you have been here on my channel from the beginning, then you would know that Karen M. McManus is one of my favorite thriller murder mystery authors right now. Her work is so, so good. I even have a shelf here dedicated to all of her work. I believe I'm only missing 2 or 3 more of her books, and then I will have her complete collection as far as what she has written so far. So this has been on my eye for a while. My husband picked this up for me, I believe, for Valentine's Day. This was a pretty good read. So in this book, we follow 3 high school students who used to be best friends, but they kind of separated over time. And one day they kind of all come back together. They decide to ditch school, and they find themselves in the middle of a murder investigation. They find a dead body. They don't tell the police. They don't tell anybody, and just more and more unravels from the story. This murder is also connected to drugs, and they find themselves right smack dab in the middle, to where people almost kind of think that maybe they did it. I really enjoy Karen M. McManus because she does the different character perspectives. So each chapter is going to be from a different character's perspective, and I love that so much. That is my favorite type of book, is when you have different character perspectives. I love that so, so much. I feel like it keeps it a lot more engaging, a lot more intriguing, because you have all of these different types of personalities being written, and it just keeps you wanting to read more and more and more. Karen M. McManus books are not very big. I read this book within a week. It was really good. It was an easy, quick, simple read. So I also feel like this is a really good book if you are in a reading slump. Pick up a Karen M. McManus book. You will not be disappointed in any of her work. All of the books that I have read by her thus far, I have not been disappointed by. And if you wanted to, you could probably read the entire thing in a day if you had the time to do it. So I really enjoyed just like learning all of these characters, different types of personalities, the stuff that they were struggling with, the things that they were keeping to themselves that they weren't telling the other characters in the book about. The one thing for me I would say is that I thought I knew who was also in on this murder drug scheme. Whenever I'm reading like a murder mystery book, I always try to figure out who the suspect is before I get to the end, because it just makes me feel good if I actually was able to figure it out. Now, this one I did not figure out. The person that I thought was also in on it ended up not being in on it at all. That would have been a really good twist to the book. Like if they would have kept it the same, made it seem like this person wasn't in on this at all, and then maybe like fast forwarded 5 years later to where we have that character's perspective and they're like, haha, I actually did it, but nobody knows, the end. I feel like that would have been so freaking good, because even in my head, I'm still like, I feel like he was a part of it. I really do. But he wasn't. But I just feel like in my head, like he was, and it just would have made for a really great ending if they would have just, like I said, fast forwarded a couple years and him actually telling us that he was in on it. So all in all, I rated this a 4 out of 5. It wasn't like the best work that I've read from Karen A. McManus, but it was also a really good read. Like I said, I read this book within a week. It was really good. It kept me wanting to read more. I was constantly reading and turning the pages. So it was a really good book all in all, and I would recommend this book to you. If you like YA thriller murder mysteries, Karen A. McManus is not going to disappoint you. I absolutely love her work, and yeah, all in all, it was a really good book. All right, you guys, the last 2 books that I picked up this spring are some romance books. And you know, we have to go with the Twisted Hate first by Anna Hong. This is in the Twisted Love series. This is the 3rd book in the series. If you've been here on my channel, or even on my second family channel that I have, then you have heard me talk about the Twisted Love series again and again and again. It is so good. So good. So this is the 3rd book in the series. Our 2 main characters, Alex and Ava, and it's just like enemies to lovers type, you know, close proximity type trope. And then in the 2nd book, we follow Ava's best friend Bridget and her bodyguard who fall in love, which that one is my all-time favorite book in the Twisted series so far, because this is the 3rd book, and then there is one more book in the series that I have not read yet. And then this book follows another one of Ava's best friends, Jules, and her brother, Josh. Now, whenever I pick up a series, I will always read the blurb for the 1st book, and I don't read into any of the other books in the series because I want to be thoroughly surprised. So when I read the description for this book on camera with you guys in my Spring TBR, I was like, I freaking knew it. I knew that Josh and Jules had a thing for each other, because in the 1st book, they were so just mean to each other, so bitter towards each other. They hated each other so much. And to me, it was just like, they had absolutely zero reason to dislike each other. So it was just like, why do you guys hate each other so much, you know? So I was just like, they have to like each other. Like, there is no way that these characters actually hate each other this much. So this book, like I said, we follow Jules and Josh, and this is a enemies to lovers trope, kind of close proximity because they are in the same circle. Ava is Josh's sister, Jules is Ava's best friend, and so they are always around each other throughout the book. And I would say at least halfway through the book is nothing but just hatred for each other, just complete hatred. And I would say that I didn't care for this series as much as I did the other 2. The other 2 books in the series just hit me right in the heart. They will forever make me feel a special way, and I felt like this book didn't really make me feel that way. Like, for those of you that know, Twilight is my all-time favorite book. I don't care how overrated the book is. I don't care how old it is. I don't care how hyped it once used to be. That will always be my favorite series. I have read that book 3 times now, and I am currently listening to the audio version of it And so technically I am reading it for the 4th time, but I just love it so much, and I love it so much. And I kid you not, the first 2 books in the Twisted Love series are pretty up there with Twilight, if not surpassing it. Like, I love it so much. And so I did not expect anything less from this book. Like, this book was good. It was really, really good, but it just didn't hold a special place in my heart like the other 2 books were. So I was kind of sad about that. I felt like halfway through this book, it was just nothing but hatred. And I do love a good enemies to lovers trope, but I just felt like this one was a little bit different. Like, I felt like it was forced. Like, I felt like it didn't come naturally. Like, some enemies to lovers books, it just happens so naturally to where it makes you really feel like, wow, like these characters don't like each other. I felt like this book was more of like forced upon these characters. It just didn't flow naturally to me. It just kind of felt like these characters just weren't meant to be that hateful towards each other. I don't know how else to explain it, but I just really didn't care for this enemies to lovers trope. I feel like this book would have been better as a friends to lovers trope, but that is just my opinion. Now, after getting about halfway through all of their hatred towards one another, we finally get to the point to where they're actually like, hey, like, I actually love this person. I actually really like this person. And so it did get better, but I just never felt that feeling like I felt with the other couples in the other 2 books. Like, I just felt like they are freaking destined to be together. Like, they are endgame. Like, that is how I felt for Ava and Alex and Bridget and Reese in the first 2 series. And with this one, I just felt like they aren't gonna last very long. Like, I don't know. It just seemed like they weren't quite ready for like this really serious commitment or marriage or kids or, you know, just like being together forever and building a future together. Like, I didn't really feel that with them as I did the other characters in the other 2 series. So I don't know. I just feel like I couldn't really take them serious. Like, all of their meetups, like, these books are spicy, just so you know. So if you are not into spicy books, then I wouldn't recommend this book or the Twisted Love series at all. When I picked up the first book for Twisted Love, I was very shocked that it was a spicy book. Now, I don't have anything against spicy books because I have read the entire 50 Shades of Grey series and I loved it. And spice doesn't bother me at all. So just a fair warning for those of you that don't like spice, you're probably not going to like this book. But I felt like all of their spicy scenes kind of just made me feel like their relationship was just like all about sex. Like, that's what it felt like to me. And like, of course, in the other 2 series, there was a lot of spicy scenes, but I just felt like there was a love for each other when they were having those intimate moments. And even when they're having intimate moments, they are mean to each other and saying rude, hateful things to each other as they're being intimate. And it was just like, okay, you know. And for me, I'm a hopeless romantic. I love all things romance, and so to each their own when it comes to the bedroom. But I know I would never want my partner to be yelling or saying hateful things to me or doing mean things to me as we're being intimate. Like, that's just like not my thing. So I don't know. I just feel like this book wasn't as good as it could have been. I really felt it to be annoying just how much the characters hated each other. Now, I know I've said a lot of negative things about this book. It wasn't completely horrible. I know I did a lot of negative ranting, but I did love that although they hated each other so much, that there still was that possessive, obsessive, jealous feeling from Josh when it came to Jules. Like, he was very protective of her, making sure that she was always going to be okay, you know, walking her home when he didn't have to, even in the beginning when he still really hated her and they hadn't yet realized their feelings for each other. So I really did like this book kept that aspect, because in the first 2 series, you definitely have that possessive, obsessive, jealous feelings going on. So I did love that that continued in this book. And so that was probably like my favorite part of this book. I did like that they kind of grew and started realizing like how much they would actually do for each other. how far they would go to protect each other and be there for one another, and really like understanding their feelings for each other and understanding that, hey, like I actually love this person. I actually don't hate this person. And maybe I hated them so much this whole time because I was actually secretly in love with them and I just didn't realize it. So I did like that part of the book. It was still a really good read. It was relatively a pretty quick read for me. This was one of the books that I actually started reading before my Spring TBR video, so I did get kind of like a little head start. But all in all, it was a really good book. I would still recommend this book because to each their own. I feel like if you love the first 2 books in the series, that you're still gonna love this one too. It just doesn't give me the same feeling as the other 2 books, but it was still a good read, so I gave it a 4 out of 5. All right, you guys, and the last book that I read for spring this season is This Spells Love by Kate Robb. Let's talk about the color of this book because it is beautiful. I love this color so much. So this was the last book that I read, and you guys, this book was so good and magical. It really, really was. I read this book so fast. I mean, it's a small book. This was a really quick, easy read too. Like, I would recommend this book to anyone as well that's in a reading slump and just wants a super quick read to read through. This is a really, really good book. It was so good. It was so good from the beginning. And I mean, when I picked up this book for the very first time, I read the first sentence, and the first sentence says, "So, are we solving the day's problems with sugar or alcohol?" I mean, come on. We have to know what the character chooses, right? So this book follows our 2 main characters, Gemma and Dax, who are the best of friends. This follows along with Gemma, and she recently got out of a really long, serious relationship. She is heartbroken. She feels like it's like the end of the world. She doesn't know what to do without her partner. And so she basically, you know, does this spell to erase her ex from her mind, to completely erase everything that had happened between her and her ex, like it never even happened, to give herself a fresh start so she wouldn't have to feel the heartache and the pain that comes along with breakups. She's heartbroken, and she, you know, ends up realizing that she has feelings for her best friend, and she performs this spell, wakes up in an alternate reality where her and her best friend are actually lovers. And so that was like the turning point for me. I absolutely loved listening to Gemma and Dax's story as lovers. So this is a friends to lovers trope, and I love me a good friends to lovers trope, and this did not disappoint. This did not disappoint at all. Like, I really loved learning about Gemma and Dax and all of the things that they had to overcome together, especially Gemma, because in this alternate reality, everything is different. Her job is different. Where she lives is different. Her relationship with Dax is different. They didn't even know each other in this alternate reality. So they ultimately had to start over as friends again and then become lovers. And their story is just so magical and just so romantic, how they had to start all over as friends and slowly become lovers. And it's just, it was so good. It was so good. And at the end, Gemma kind of basically has to make this decision, you know, does she want to stay in this alternate reality or does she want to go back to her old life? And so learning about the decision that she made and why she made it was so heartfelt that I feel like if you love romance, if you love a little bit of magic in your books, or you love magic in general, you're going to love this book. It was a truly magical book to read about. I gave it a 5 out of 5. It was so good. I highly recommend this book. And I feel like this is a book that I would read again. Like, it was that good. It was that good. Like, I would love to see this book be made into a movie, whether it be a Hallmark movie, a Lifetime movie. Like, I feel like this would just make like a really good movie. So directors out there, make this book into a movie because I feel like it would be so good. I would definitely watch it. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that book, you guys. Those are all of the books that I was able to read through for this spring season. 6 books, which I'm very proud of. I actually did start reading my 7th book, which is The Maidens by Alex Michelides, but I have not got through all of it. As you can see, I'm not even halfway through the book. So this is going to roll over into my summer reads. But let me tell you guys, I am flipping through this book very fast. very, very fast. And I read another book by this author, which is The Fury. And this book was so good. I read this book within a week. That's how good it was. So when I seen that he had another book, I was like, I have to pick it up. There's also another book by him that I want to pick up, which I think I did pick up, but I haven't done that haul yet with you guys. The Silent Patient, I'm really, really interested in reading about. The Maidens, it is very, very good. This kind of follows like a college type setting. There are murders involved, so this is like a murder thriller mystery book, and I believe the main character thinks one of the college professors is the culprit. So it is so good already, and I just really love this author ties in Greek culture into his books, because he did that in his first book and he's also doing it here in his second book, and I really, really love that because I love Greek mythology. But anyways, it's a good book, and you're just gonna have to wait for my summer reading wrap up to learn more about this book, you guys. I cannot wait to get through the rest of this book because it's so, so good. Oh my goodness, you guys, my throat hurts from talking so freaking much. I really hope that this video wasn't too long. I honestly don't even know how long this video is going to be. But yeah, that is all of my spring reads for this season, you guys. I am so excited to pick out my summer TBR, you guys. So follow along with me. Also, the other 3 books that I picked out for my spring reads. We have the 4th book in the Twisted Love series, which is Twisted Lies, Kiki's Delivery Service, and What Happened to the Bennetts. So these 3 I did not get to, and I don't think I'm gonna roll these over to my summer reads because I recently got in a bunch of books for my birthday. My husband spoiled me with a bunch of books for my birthday, which be on the lookout for that, you guys. That is already filmed and edited. It's just a matter of whenever I put it up. It was a huge haul. It was a huge haul, and there was so many books in there that I want to read this summer. So I don't think I'll be rolling these over. I will just save these for another time. The Maidens will be getting rolled over to the summer. But I'm going to just pick out all new books for the summer. So I cannot wait for that. So stay tuned for my summer TBR video, you guys. I will be trying to film that this week as well and getting it up and out to you guys as soon as possible. So be on the lookout for that. I really hope that you guys enjoyed my spring reading wrap up. I hope it wasn't too boring. Let me know down below if you have read any of the books that I read over the spring, what you thought of the books, if you intend on picking up any of these books, if any of these books called out to you that you are intrigued to read. Let me know down below. I would love to chat with you all and get to know each and every one of you. And yeah, I feel like I have talked way too long. I feel like this video is way too long. So I'm going to end the video out here, you guys. Thank you guys so much for coming along with me and just hearing me talk about books. I mean, if you're here on my channel, then you obviously are a book lover like myself. So, I don't know, books just bring me so much joy, and I can talk for hours and hours and hours when it comes to my books. But yeah, don't forget to hit that like on your way out, you guys. Help out your girl's channel, help me to grow further here on YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe if you aren't already. I would love to have you here in the Garden of Reading, my little safe haven here on YouTube. And I will see you guys in my next book video.